What's up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with Kobo the Orc. Castle level's an 18, so I'll jump into it on my knight. I haven't been recording these all that often, but I'm going to start recording them more often now. I just had to get my castle up to level 32 for the event that Azure UK put on, which I'll go over that, I guess, in the first video that I do of the replays that I got from there. I'll kind of go over some of the results and stuff like that, how I did. I might, tell everybody who finished in first, second, and third, and stuff like that. But for right now, we're going to look at this castle. Alright, so it looks like... Are those trap archers? Or are those... I can't really tell. They're not headshot, but they're not split shot archers either. I don't understand why they don't have specialization that I can see. I don't know, either way, I think this is all fine up until this point. Everything looks so different now at lower levels. I haven't played lower level castles in forever. Alright, the Jimbo is good. Do you have anything supporting the Jimbo? It looks like you just have these three. So what I would do, instead of how you have it now, is take away the two snotters and take away the derp, and just have the Jimbo like over here on the side, so that it's just touching where they turn around this corner. Because if you'll notice how when I come up to this way, I won't really see what's around this corner until after I turn the corner, right? Unless I rotate my camera like this, and a lot of people don't do that. So what you can do is you can get away with not having a spotter here and actually put in an extra 3-point unit like a Bad Dog or a Bone Puppeteer, which will help this group so that it's more supported by something like a Bone Puppeteer or Bad Dog, either one that you want to do for either attack speed or healing generally. I mean, you can use a Bone Puppeteer to do Enrage, but sometimes it's a little buggy, so... Alright, I don't really like the Smelly Warriors on the specialization. I don't really like them anyway. I've kind of said that in a lot of videos, so... if they're working for you, then, I mean, keep using them, but if they don't seem to be doing really anything for you, like I'm assuming they aren't, you might want to switch it out for something different. Battering Rams, even though I didn't like them in other castles, like earlier on, now Battering Rams I like quite a bit at level 32. So I don't know if they're still pretty weak lower levels, but up at level 32 they're actually pretty strong. They can do decent damage, and the fire trail they leave behind is kind of annoying to deal with. These seem like little half groups. I'm not sure why you don't have full groups here. Maybe you just had a few extra points. But I mean, this group is actually kind of pointless to have here, unless maybe you're going to pull it into fire traps instead of slow traps. So you might want to think about that if you're going to leave this little group in, is just like put something in there to support it. Okay, it looks like this entire area was a dead end anyway. So I mean, I guess that's okay. You're only putting in 6 points or something to make it look like it's a actual way to go. Actually, you have 2 battering rams as well. So that ends up being about 20 points that won't be used in your castle if I were to rerun it again and go the correct way. Alright, so this is another pretty good one. Obviously, Hunger Bots are pretty easy to dodge, so you can't really expect it to hit all that often. Especially rank 3 Hunger Bots. The hooks are just so slow. When you get up to rank 4, it'll be a little bit more effective, but I mean, either way, you have camera rotation, so actually having hooks land is not all that common anymore. Okay, it's interesting that you have your Hunger Bots, or your Bone Puppeteers on this specialization. Like, at your level these days, with, these skeletons, they won't really buy you all that much time, and they won't do all that much damage. Mainly because people have such good AoEs. Alright, so again, I mean, springboard traps in the current way the game works, I haven't really hit a hook in over a month just because of camera rotation, so something to think about. I mean, you can see this coming from a mile away, and even if I just stand back a little bit, your Hunger Bot will come off of the platform just because he doesn't have the range, So these type of groups, you can't really rely on these springboard traps anymore. Like, at your level, it's more about the elites that you put in. Like, you're about to get Mega Muttons, I think you get them at level 22, if I'm correct. I'm not 100% sure. And then, you know, your Pete Poundmores will be like level 20 soon, which will be their rank 4, so they get quite a bit of a stat increase. At level 26, you have Jimbos getting up to rank 4, so there's a lot of elites that you can use at your levels. And obviously Zeeks are always good for sustained damage. And then you have this group here, which is always good. I like this quite a bit. I used to use this for a long time until I switched it out. So I have nothing bad to say about your boss room. I think it's pretty good. But I mean, if your castle isn't really doing what you want it to do, you can think about switching out some of those hunger bot pulls and put it in like more elites, and maybe try to rush to get your castle up to where you can get Mega Muttons. That'll be a pretty good unit for you for quite a while. I think at level 30 I actually don't really like Mega Muttons as much, because they're with my archer being level 30 and with other archers being level 30, they can one-shot headshot them if they get a crit, so I've been stopping the use of Mega Muttons recently in my castle. But you get a bunch more tools available to you when you get up to level 32, like Mr. Moo Boom and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll jump into number 2 in just a second. Alright, for number 2 we have himself. Castle level's 20, so I'm going to run through it on my archer really quickly. But, you know, I should still be able to point out little things that I think could work better. So, I mean, opening with a Smelly Warrior here, obviously the Smelly Warrior is going to die pretty quickly if it doesn't have anything supporting it. And then you run around with a bunch of Smelly Archers. You know, like, I would prefer you to... I mean, you even have a Snotter here that comes around the corner as well, so why not switch around this Snotter and this Smelly Warrior? If you want to keep the group, I feel like that would be better. You have this one Snotter that you'll end up killing, and then the Smelly Warrior can come and lead out in front and hopefully tank a little bit of damage for the archers. Obviously, it'll never work exactly the way you want it to, but I feel like to make that group a little bit better, you don't want somebody to fight 4 points to the group and then have the remaining 16 come around. You'd rather them fight 1 point and then have 19 come around, you know? Alright, and then here, this is really weak to a volley. Mainly, the only things that you can do, I mean, I know what you're going for is you want me to come around this corner and not see that that's there, and then get hit by it, which will happen a decent portion of the time. But if you rotate, you can get a good volley shot off on that. So, I mean, the only thing you could do would be to hide it around this corner and make it so that they can't see it until they've already rounded the corner, and then hopefully you can possibly, you know, scout this hallway while still making it invulnerable that way. Alright, and then here we got a Smelly Archer, a Cyclops, I'll volley it as well. So again, a lot of this stuff is because volley doesn't go through walls anymore. You can use things to, you know, put maybe everything around this corner so that as soon as I vault through this or, you know, walk through this, I get aggroed on, and then I can't initiate with a volley that kills 2 of the units. Little things like that will help your defense get a couple more hits in. Now this is kind of weird. You just have a bunch of shield Defendatrons. I guess it's okay for buying time, but the problem is with timers the way they are now, buying time doesn't really, you know, it doesn't play as big of a factor anymore. Alright, Pete Poundmore. I think this group is fine. It'll work better against people who aren't, you know, one-shotting him and stuff like that. Bear traps do shut down Pete Poundmore pretty hard, though. That's something you'll have to keep in mind. When placing him in and stuff like that. But I think that's fine. This is a pretty good trap placement. The problem is, and talking a little bit about spike traps here, is you have these guys right out in front of the spike trap. Your ideal scenario would be to make me go over the spike trap, see these guys and aggro this group, and then have to go back over the spike trap again, and then go back over it again when I want to continue after I've killed this group. So basically I'm taking 3 times the spike trap damage that I would normally take. Whereas here I can aggro this and start fighting this before I even get over here. It might be a little bit more annoying for knights, but even then they would just lashing flames. But what you'd want me to do is, right, I just vaulted over this, and then I aggro that group that I just took out. and they all start coming at me. I have 2 Smelly Warriors and 2 Cyclopses. Unless I want to, take all of that damage, I have to go back over the spike trap and take an extra tick of 100 damage, which against other people with lower defenses would be, 150 or 200. And then I have to go back over it again, so if that's 200 damage, it's 600 damage just from this trap alone, which is quite a bit at your level. So that's kind of how spike traps, I think, should be used. And it's something that I've kind of learned more recently in doing that. A lot of the castles that did very well in the last event that I took place in had extremely good spike trap placements that denied vision and denied, denied a good volley hit or a good headshot hit that initiated the combat before you got over the trap and initiated on all of them, and then you'd have to take extra damage from that. It's a really good way to put your castle, in terms of sustained damage, it's a really good way to build your castle using those spike traps like that. And I've already rebuilt some of my rooms during that event as it was going on, because that's actually where the majority of my wins came from. My first 6 or so attacks on my castle, I went like 1 in 5, and then I started playing around with other people's castles, and I basically rebuilt little pieces of things to make it a little bit more effective. And as it went on, like towards the end of the castle, I probably had a 70% or so win rate compared to the 30% or so I had when I started the castle. I think this is an okay boss room for your level, but I think you have to worry about exactly what I did there. Whereas once people get enough damage with volley and knights just have their standard AoE attacks and stuff like that, when they're able to clear out this room as quickly as I did, or even half as quickly as I did, that's when you'll have to think about starting to switch up what you have here, because Resurrect Dr. Skulls won't really be all that effective for you anymore. So yeah, pretty good castle. We'll jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, and lastly we have Ragnokai. His castle level is only a 10, so there's not going to be all that much available to him. I'll run through it really quickly, and hopefully I can give you some hints on what you can do with your castle. The main thing that I always see newer players is you have to understand that the easiest way for me to initiate on a group is if I can see exactly what I want to initiate on and get off any ability that I feel like would be the best here, right? Like, so the best thing for me to do right now would be to Lashing Flames this Pete Poundmore and then smite it if I have to afterwards, right? So I can do exactly that, and he gets 27 damage, 1 hit on me. And the best way to, as a defender, combat that is put things around corners or lead with units that you don't care about, like Snotters or something like that, right? I realize this is a full group, but if you replace this Smelly Warrior with like a Bone Puppeteer, you can get 1 extra point, and you can put a Snotter or a Derp way out in front so that I can't get that same Lashing Flames off that I want to. I don't quite have the range. And you can do things like that, which will help it so that I can't kill things as easily. Same way with this one. I would have preferred to punt that Zeke into the other 2 archers, which would have probably killed all of them, but I didn't do that. It's the same thing with kind of all of these groups, and I kind of just keep running through it. But these springboard traps won't work as soon as people realize what that is. Like, maybe the lower level players won't know exactly what this trap is, but even if I do hit it, it's just going to throw me into a wall. It's not going to do any damage or anything, so I would replace that trap with something else. Like, this isn't a bad combo that you have here. I think you could replace one of the Cyclopses with something else. You don't need 2 of them to charge someone. Alright, continuing on. 1 Smelly Warrior. Like, you should really keep groups up near the 20 point marker, because there's no reason to fight, 1 4-point group. It's not gonna really do any damage to anybody. Alright, then what do you got for your boss room? Okay, you have Mr. Firesley. I think that's great. For the lower level players especially, these bosses are pretty hard to take care of because they don't quite have the gear to do it yet. So I think these pre-made bosses for lower levels is a pretty good idea. So yeah, it's not a bad castle. You just need to focus more on how someone would go about attacking your castle and figure out how to, throw a wrench into their plans. So if I would, figure out what they would want to do to initiate on a group and try to look for ways to either make it so that the group isn't visible, or having a spotter way out in front so that you can initiate it the way that you want to, or something like that. So that's number 3. We're going to end the video here. If you guys enjoyed it, do please subscribe. If you want to be a part of viewer casts, you can email me at frenzycastleruns@hotmail.com. Leave a comment on my castle, or leave a comment in the description or in the comments of the video. The big thing is right now I'm extremely backed up from open house and from farming up, the millions of life force I needed to get to my castle to level 32. So it's going to take me a while to get to any new people who want to be a part of this. So just keep that in mind when you submit your entry. It's going to be a week or two before I can get to your castle. So yeah, with that, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.